Good evening, and we begin tonight with a developing story that has sent shockwaves through the global economy. Canada announced today that it will impose retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion worth of U.S. goods. This bold move comes in direct response to President Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Canadian goods. The tariffs, which will target a wide range of American products, are scheduled to go into effect at 12:01 a.m. EST on March 4th, 2025. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed the nation earlier today, condemning the Trump administration's actions and vowing to protect Canadian interests. Trudeau's announcement marks a significant escalation in trade tensions between the two neighboring countries. The Canadian government has long maintained that it would not back down from a trade war with the United States. Canada's retaliatory tariffs are a clear signal that it is prepared to defend its economy, even if it means engaging in a protracted trade dispute with its largest trading partner. The decision to impose tariffs has been met with mixed reactions from Canadian businesses and consumers. While some support the government's tough stance, others worry about the potential economic fallout. The tariffs are expected to drive up the cost of American goods for Canadian consumers and businesses. This could lead to inflation and a slowdown in economic growth. The Canadian government has said that it is prepared to provide assistance to businesses and workers who are negatively impacted by the tariffs. However, it remains to be seen how effective these measures will be in mitigating the economic damage. The trade dispute between Canada and the United States is the latest in a series of protectionist measures implemented by the Trump administration. Trump has argued that these measures are necessary to protect American jobs and businesses from unfair foreign competition. However, critics argue that they are counterproductive and will ultimately harm the U.S. economy. President Trump has justified his decision to impose tariffs on Canada by citing national security concerns. He has accused Canada of flooding the U.S. market with cheap steel and aluminum, which he claims is harming American producers. Trump has also expressed frustration with Canada's trade surplus with the United States. He has argued that Canada is taking advantage of the United States in trade and that tariffs are necessary to level the playing field. However, Canada has vehemently denied these accusations. Canadian officials have pointed out that Canada is a close ally of the United States and that the two countries have a long history of economic cooperation. They have also argued that Canada's steel and aluminum industries are not a threat to U.S. national security. In fact, Canada is a major supplier of steel and aluminum to the U.S. military. Canada has also taken issue with Trump's characterization of the trade relationship between the two countries. Canadian officials have pointed out that Canada is the largest export market for the United States, and that the two countries have a highly integrated economy. They have argued that tariffs will harm businesses and consumers on both sides of the border. In an attempt to resolve the trade dispute, Canada and the United States had been engaged in negotiations over the past several months. However, these negotiations have now broken down, with both sides accusing the other of being unwilling to compromise. The breakdown in negotiations has raised fears of a full-blown trade war between the two countries. Such a conflict would have serious consequences for both economies. The escalating trade tensions between Canada and the United States have also drawn strong reactions from Canadian provincial leaders. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, in particular, has been a vocal critic of the Trump administration's trade policies. Ford, who has often been compared to Trump for his populist rhetoric and business background, has taken a surprisingly tough stance against the tariffs. He has accused Trump of bullying Canada and has vowed to retaliate against any tariffs imposed on Canadian goods. Ford has threatened to take a number of drastic measures, including cutting off electricity exports to the United States. Ontario is a major supplier of electricity to several U.S. states, including New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. Ford's threat to cut off these exports has raised concerns about potential blackouts in these states. In addition to cutting off electricity exports, Ford has also threatened to ban the sale of American alcohol in Ontario liquor stores. He has also said that he will scrap all government contracts with U.S. companies. Ford's tough talk has been met with mixed reactions in Canada. Some have praised him for standing up to Trump, while others have criticized him for being reckless and irresponsible. Critics argue that Ford's actions will only escalate the trade dispute and harm the Ontario economy. They point out that Ontario is heavily reliant on trade with the United States, and that any disruption to this trade will have a significant impact on the province's economy. The trade dispute between Canada and the United States is already having a negative impact on both economies. The uncertainty created by the tariffs has led to businesses delaying investments and consumers cutting back on spending. This has resulted in slower economic growth in both countries. The tariffs themselves are also starting to have an effect. The cost of goods that are subject to tariffs has increased, leading to higher prices for consumers and businesses. This is particularly true for products like steel and aluminum, which are used in a wide range of manufactured goods. The trade dispute is also having a negative impact on the stock market. The uncertainty surrounding the trade dispute has made investors nervous, leading to volatility in the stock market. This volatility is likely to continue as long as the trade dispute remains unresolved. The trade dispute between Canada and the United States is a complex issue with no easy solutions. Both sides have dug in their heels, and it is unclear how or when the dispute will be resolved. What is clear, however, is that the trade dispute is having a negative impact on both economies. The longer the dispute drags on, the greater the economic damage will be. It is in the best interests of both countries to find a way to resolve their differences and return to a more normal trading relationship.